I know, this looks like trash. Let me fix that real quick. Ah, much better, isn't it? What shall I say? In it! This video is part 1 of 2 videos that will be focusing on setups. This week we'll focus on how to make super basic and low budget setups look good, as well as finding your own style and look. Let's! Hey, what's up? It's your favorite Asian vampire, Nicholas here, back at it again with another video. So, let's cut to the chase. Setups on a low budget. I want you to come away from this video with no excuses, fully knowing and believing that you can have a good looking setup no matter your budget, equipment, or how bad your location might look. The setups I'll be showing you today will be comprised of stuff that you can find either at home or buy for cheap. Just a reminder that I'm uploading here weekly, so if you like what you see here and you want more, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, click that notification bell so that you know when the next video is up, and follow me on Instagram at SentientPoison. Now that you know what's up, let's get to the setup guide. This will be based on 3 things: budget, convenience, and most importantly, aesthetics. Quick tips. Here are 3 guidelines that we'll be following for all of the setups that we'll be doing today. Number 1, light placement. The light will never hit directly in front of our face. It really just is flat. Which, hey, it has its place, especially if you're doing makeup videos or you want to get rid of as many uneven spots and blemishes on the face. But aside from that, I don't really think that there's much to it in terms of cinematic or dramatic aesthetics. Number 2, diffusion. Our light will always look somewhat soft. Same goal as light placement. You want it to flatter your subject the most, as well as provide an interesting visual. Soft light will make the light look gentler on the skin, as well as add a polished look to your scene. Number 3, lights off. We'll keep our room as dark as possible to maximize our control of the lighting. It also helps hide anything we don't want seen on camera, especially if the room that you're shooting in doesn't particularly look good on camera. Now, onto the setups. Number 1, super low budget. This only requires your phone and your monitor. We'll have the monitor act as our key light, aka our main light. For that, save a black-white image and set that to full screen on your monitor. Make that light hit approximately 45 degrees from the side of your face. Once you've got that, just set your phone up on a tripod or whatever you can use to make it stand. Depending on your phone, your front camera or your back camera might be better than the other. Just use whichever one works best for you. I personally set my camera and my light to be on level with my face or angled slightly from up above, because I think that this is more flattering when close to the face. It avoids the low camera angle side effect of having a double chin, and also makes sure that your light hits your face evenly, instead of having it come from underneath and making you look like a horror movie monster. Pro tip, if you're using an iPhone, you can press and hold the screen to activate autofocus and auto exposure lock. This locks the focus area that you tapped on and allows you to manually slide your exposure up and down. Your adjustments will stay locked until you stop recording. If you're on Android, it depends on your model whether your default camera app will allow for manual controls. If it doesn't, go ahead and look for third-party apps that do. Setup number 2, Lamp City. With a couple extra stuff and with a couple extra bucks, we can make our current setup look just that much better. The secret? Lamps and LEDs, baby! We can improve our current setup by using lamps, or completely revamp our setup by getting rid of the monitor as the key light and having an entire setup just comprised of lamps. For starters, you can have a stronger key light by having a diffuse lamp pointed straight at you, or having that lamp bounce off a white surface like foam board, poster board, a sheet of paper, or your plain white wall. This setup ain't bad. But the background could use a bit more work because right now it looks just about as dead and empty as my soul. Let's have another light in the background to fill the scene with more visual flair. I have a lamp with a $7 RGB bulb that I got from Walmart to do just that. Of course, you can also be one of those cool and hip TikTok whippersnapper kids and have an LED strip go on either on your ceiling or behind your desk or wherever you'd like to put it. Right now, for this current example, I have my lamp pointed straight at me as well as the monitor still acting as a white light. And there you go, we went from a single source lighting setup to now a more visually active frame. This method can be switched up and mixed up in infinite ways so long as you've got places to put and plug your lamps. Back in 2017, the only lights that I had on hand were desk lamps. I would bring those everywhere I went that I knew I would shoot. I'd wrap them in colored plastic bags so that I could tint them, and then I'd make them stand on chairs. It was mega janky, but it did the trick just well enough. Setup number 3, same tricks, different camera. Now we're using a proper camera. Full transparency, even though I'm using my Sony a6600 to film this video, you don't actually need a fancy expensive camera to do the job. Any camera that you can consider to be an upgrade or better than your phone will do just fine. Since we're upgrading our setup from our phone to our camera, you're gonna want to have that same or similar kind of field of view and frame with your camera, which means that you're gonna want the widest lens that you have. Assuming that you only have a basic kit, you probably have a kit lens, and that will do the job just perfectly fine. Pro tip, here are some basic and easy camera settings. Keep your lens as zoomed out as you can possibly have it. Set your aperture number to the lowest f number that you can have it so that you can maximize the amount of light that goes in through the iris of your lens. Set your frame rate to 24 frames per second and set your shutter speed to 1/50th of a second. If your camera doesn't allow 24 frames per second, 25 or 30 will do just fine, and then set your shutter speed to 1/60th. Lastly, adjust your ISO accordingly. Adjust this last because this will introduce the most amount of noise the higher that you go up. Here's some quick tips for your background. If you don't like the way that your room looks, buy something to act as a backdrop, like a giant sheet of foam that you can buy at an art store or poster board, or just find a way to prop up your blanket or curtain behind you. Note that the farther you are from the background, the more background separation there will be, which means that there will be more bokeh or background blur, and also less chances of your light spilling over to the background or creating weird shadows. If you do like the way that your room looks but it doesn't translate well on camera, you're either going to have to refurnish or rearrange some things in the background to make that look more appealing, or have a certain area or nook in your room that you can furnish specifically for shooting videos. Look for bits and bobs that fit your personality to decorate the background. You can have plants, books, video games, movies, movie posters, or you can do it like how I do and have lights go on, a monitor, and a bunch of camera gear. Ideally, this will be stuff that's related to your content, that's meaningful to you, and that tells the audience a lot more about you and what you do, because this also helps inform your audience what you're all about. Mind you, window light is always an option. You don't have to go dark mode like me. You can always open up your curtain and sit by the window and record a video there and use that natural, soft sunlight for free. Only downside is that you don't really have much control over the sunlight, and you're at the mercy of it being consistent throughout the time that you're recording. Now that we've run through setting up, let's talk about you. How do you find a setup that's true to you? Obviously, the stuff that I'm showing you are the styles and approaches that I like. They might not be your cup of tea. This is just what I know best, so this is what I'm showcasing. If you want something different, mix and match the stuff that I taught you today and just find your own look. You really only need the core principles of diffusion, camera placement, light placement, and decorating your frame and background. Those are just general principles, so go nuts. Feel free to go ahead and experiment the way that you want your shot to look. The key takeaway that I want you to have from this video is that there's practically no excuse for you not to play around with upping your setup game, because there's a solution on every skill level and price point. You just have to figure yours out. That's part of the fun. So go, find your aesthetic and find a way to smartly execute that with the stuff you have on hand. Anyway, that's been a lot. I hope you enjoyed this and found something that works for you. I'll be coming back next week with a new video, so make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell. You can keep in touch with me on social media at SentientPoison and at Lolin on Instagram. Leave a like, subscribe, that's it from me for now. My name is Nicholas. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and have fun playing with your setups. Cheers.